For more on the developing news out of France, I'm joined from Paris by columnist and blogger Phillippe Moreau. Philippe, thank you for being on the program with us. France has seen unprecedented...
Hello.
Can you hear me,
The day was kind of...
Go ahead.
Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead. Tell us about what you've experienced these last three horrible
the situation,
days.
Yes, the day was kind of unique. I mean, it was the first time in our history, for a very long time, we didn't have this kind of events in Paris. And the tension in the city was quite huge, and we couldn't quite figure out how it would end. And it was, politically speaking, it's a disaster, because we had already a huge tendency in France to be anti-Islam and to go to the far right, to go to Marine Le Pen, to have extreme choices politically speaking. And this situation is only increasing that tendency. So we don't know what the effects of all these events will be politically speaking in the next months or in the next years. But it is a much smaller scale. Of course, it is a kind of a September 11 for France, and the repercussions will be huge.
So not just on the political front, but on the human front, is there a concern that the Muslim community in France is going to get a backlash?
There's going to be a backlash, of course, because there was already a feeling concerning Islam that this religion, which is the second biggest religion in France, was not kind of totally, completely French. And this kind of attacks reinforce that feeling. And we can expect to have, unfortunately, a lot of tensions between communities. And it's kind of worrying, because we don't have any political solutions. At least moderate political solutions to that kind of problems yet. It's kind of new in the scale, in the shocking way it happened. It's really something that people will look at without understanding at first.
Philippe, the attack on Charlie Hebdo, of course, if the goal was to silence satire, if the goal was to crush freedom of expression, it seems it has had the opposite effect with all the signs of solidarity that we've seen in France and around the world.
Yes, the first reaction is the good reaction, is the good one. It's to unite and to demonstrate, especially on Sunday when we will go in the streets. I think every French will think about going in the street, even if we don't all go in the streets. And there will be aid of states from abroad. We will come and join us in this demonstration. And it's a huge hope that maybe there is something good that happen out of it. And at least during that very day, during that Sunday, we will be all together and we will demonstrate that our values, democratic values, are still alive and kicking, well alive. And that's, even though we have been attacked, we won't change our system, our belief system. We won't change the French system because of that. And we will reaffirm, we will say again that we are believing in our democratic values.
Philippe, we're hearing that the brothers were known to law enforcement, certainly even on the U.S. terror list. Are the French people or among journalists, are they talking about the fact that they were not behind bars, they were roaming the streets of Paris, plotting a deadly attack?
I couldn't understand the question, I'm sorry. Could you say it again?
Is there a concern in France among French citizens or even journalists? Are they asking questions why the Kouachi brothers, who had been on the government watch list, were not behind bars? They were roaming the streets of Paris, plotting this horrific attack.
One of the concerns is one concern that will be rising after the facts, maybe in the next days. One question that will be asked is why couldn't we stop it before it happened? Before it happens. And obviously that's a good question, because there was much intelligence gathered about these guys, these persons. We knew that they were kind of dangerous, but we couldn't stop them. And that's one of the questions that will be asked to the government once the emotion will recede and once we will see the picture more clearly. But that's a question that's going to be asked anyway.
All right, Philippe Moreau, thank you so much for your time.